Hello, welcome to the first video in this series on building Flappy Bird in Unity 3D. This tutorial is aimed at people who are new to Unity, so if you've never touched Unity before, never programmed, this should be great for you. There's also a text version of this tutorial available on my webpage, and it'll be linked in the video notes. So the first thing we need to do is start up the Unity 3D editor. So just launch it. And we'll get this dialog. You can see the history of my previous projects. What I'm going to do is click on the new button. I want to select 2D because we'll be building a 2D game. Okay, next we want to pick a name. This one's going to be named Flappy Fish. And I'll put it in a Flappy Fish folder. Then I hit Create Project, and the editor will launch for me. Okay, there we go. We're in the editor. You can see we've got a nice blue screen, a bunch of empty areas all around. The first thing I want to do is import an art package. There will be a file attached to this video that you can download called fishart.unity package. Once you download that, just go to Assets and Import Package, Custom Package. Then browse to the folder where you've downloaded the Bird's Art Unity package, select it, and hit Open. This will present you with an Import Package dialog where you can select the files in the package you'd like to import. I'm going to leave them all selected and just click the Import button. Once I do that, you can notice in the project view we have an art folder. I can click on the art folder and I see a bunch of different little pieces of art that are all undersea themed. I can select them and get a little preview over there if I want. And a little bit of info about the actual files themselves up in the inspector area. Okay, next I want you to focus your view at the hierarchy. Up in here you'll see there's a main camera object that was created for us by default when we started the new project. I'm going to select it. When I select it, it turns blue. The other thing that happens when I select it is the inspector will now show details about the selected object over there. Every game object in Unity has at least one component that's a transform. The transform defines the position, the rotation, and the scale of the object. It also can have any number of other components. The camera game object has a camera component, some layers, and a listener. We're going to ignore the bottom three for now and just focus on the camera component. So what I want you to do is just click on this blue bar area and you'll see a little dialog pop up. This dialog lets us select the background color for the camera. So this is the color that's seen if there's nothing else in front of the camera. Imagine it as kind of like your green screen or a blue screen if you're recording. So here I can just select different colors, kind of adjust it to whatever I want. I can make it green, red, blue. Well, since we're going to do an underwater themed game, I'm going to select a kind of a light underwatery blue. You can pick whatever you want, and you can always go back and change this later. So if you pick a color and you're unhappy with it later, don't worry about it. So just select one and hit close. Now you see it's changed here. Now we've got a nice blank scene. The next thing we're going to do is add something to our scene. So to do that, I'm going to go down to the project view, go into this art folder, and select the fish. So I'm going to click on it and just drag it right up into the hierarchy. What will happen? You'll get a little fish appearing right in the middle of your screen. The other thing you'll notice is that the fish is selected. That's why it's blue here. And over here we can see that the position right now is 0, 0, and 0. So that's just the location in the world on 3 different axes. The rotation is 0, 0, 0, and the scale is at 1, 1, 1. So with our fish here, I want you to click on the scene view, just so you can see kind of how it looks when we're editing. The game view, which was the default here, is what the player will see when they're playing the game. The scene view is here for us to be able to move things around and edit them. So let's just select the movement tool. That's right up here above the hierarchy, and you can kind of move the fish around. You'll see the inspector area over here has the values changing when I move it. And if I move it over to this top left corner, go to the game view, you'll see he's moved up here. Now another thing I'm going to do is just set our scene and game views side by side. If you have a second monitor, you can always drag these out onto another monitor, but I'm just going to put them right here, kind of even them out just to make it a little easier for you to see everything that's going on while we're working on this game. Now I also want to reset the fish back to the center because for our game that's just where we need him to be. So I could either drag him around or I can click up in the inspector and just type in the position. So I'm going to set this back to 0 and that back to 0. So now I just want you to hit play and see what happens, which is pretty much nothing. Oh, the button lit up, but the fish isn't doing anything. That's because we haven't told our game to do anything. We haven't told our fish how to interact with the world. So nothing will happen. That's okay. Just hit play again to stop. All right, let's make something happen now. So I'm going to select our fish in the hierarchy. What we want to do is make our fish interact with the world and interact with the physics system built into Unity. To do that, I'm going to click on Add Component, and I'm going to start typing rigid body, or just RI, you can see it auto-completed. And I'm going to select rigid body 2D. Make sure you select the 2D one since we're doing a 2D game. I'll click it, and that'll add this component here. Now, if you accidentally selected the rigid body and not the 2D one, you can click on this little gear here, hit remove component, and then re-add the correct one. Now that we've added the rigid body, let's hit play again and see what happens. Oh, you can see the fish just fell. He's now interacting with the physics system. He has a gravity scale of 1, so gravity is pulling him down and there's nothing keeping him up. In the next video, we'll cover writing a little bit of code and keeping our fish from falling off the screen.